Hello, Oklahoma! The purpose of this video is to show you some of the new features that have been added to your custom version of CASA Manager. In many cases, things have had to be moved around to accommodate more categories, more features, and in some cases I've made some changes to the database that I've been wanting to make in any case, and you're the beneficiaries of those. One of the first things you'll notice is the buttons have changed. I've made them lighter in weight with the idea that I can actually add more as time goes on and they are less intrusive to the screen. First section we're going to cover is the Staff section. Click on the Staff tab and you'll notice one of the first things that's different is this section down here at the bottom. This is where I have moved account information. It is no longer at the top of the screen. You'll also notice as we go through this video that the areas that are brand new specifically for Oklahoma have been highlighted in yellow. In your version, you will not see the yellow highlighting. This is only available when you're looking at the database using FileMaker Pro 11. Currently, you're using FileMaker Pro 10. You'll notice I've added sex offender registration information, the date, the finding, and when you enter the date, you'll notice that it pops up and auto-enters the same date a year later. You can, of course, overwrite this if you would like to. The next section significantly changed is training. Previously, training looked like this, with the in-service books and independent study sections all on one screen. Now we have divided that into different sections, so it's very similar to what it looks like for the volunteers. In your case, however, I have added basic training for staff. The way this works is as a person on staff attends the training, you'll indicate a start date. Leave the done date empty until the person does in fact finish the entire training. As they attend sessions, you'll notice they get points and hours. This operates exactly the same way as CASA Manager for volunteers. Each time a staff person attends a session, they get more points and more hours. This goes straight up for those agencies who want to, up to 25 sessions. If your agency does not have 25 sessions, just simply leave the ones that you don't use or don't need blank. Once a person has actually completed their training, had all of their criminal checks, child abuse registry, and so forth verified, when they are in fact done, click the Done date. And you'll notice several things happen. In the first place, this person will have however many points they need and however many hours they need. Once they're done, click the Done date and a big giant X will appear. This X means that those hours have been transferred to their hours to date. You'll notice those hours are up here now. That number never changes. However, if for some reason you want to manually override that number for some reason, you can do so. The number on this column is the number of hours from here and cannot be altered based on the fiscal date. So whatever your fiscal year is will be the number will show here. This number, however, will never change. Next, let's go to the new changes in Family. Click on the Child tab, and it takes you to the Family screen. You'll notice this screen is also significantly altered. Here I've added date of birth for mother, as well as father, and the age auto-calculates. I have moved the family address over here to the side and added mom's attorney and the KK number that your agency needs. This KK number operates in the same way a family ID number operates, except that you can enter in whatever number you need to, and it will appear on every child in the family. You also will need to identify which supervisor is working with this family. Unfortunately, we have to have you enter this information twice, once here on the family screen and once on the child screen. It's an unavoidable detail based on the new structure that I've had to use to get your family measures. Children are listed the same. Comments moved from up here down into a larger section. Family services remain the same, but family measures are brand new. These are your Oklahoma outcomes. The number of recommendations log and the number of contacts log. Simply enter the new measure date. You'll notice it's auto enters down at the bottom. Put in who you heard this information from, the name of the person, or social worker or volunteer or whomever. When you click outside the field, this data entry field will move to the top, and then you can record for each child the appropriate number for each category. As you enter the number, you'll notice that it's getting totaled over here on the side. If you have any questions about what you should enter in terms of numbers or what the categories mean, please contact Stacy at the state office. Let's move over to the child area. In the child area, you'll see that the KK number again has been moved in a permanent position up here front and center. I have reconfigured or relayed out the fields in this area to accommodate the additional new field of race and a permanent field called tribe. Race is the category that National CASA is now using for the more traditional categories that we used to associate with ethnic origin. They have aligned themselves with the U.S. Census and have therefore copied their categories. You'll notice there are only 5 races. You'll need to look at the National CASA guidelines in terms of how to qualify people for different races. Under ethnic origin, you have only 2 choices, Hispanic or Latino, not Hispanic or Latino. You'll notice that under race, no longer do you have biracial, multiracial, or unknown. You also don't have Hispanic or Latino. Again, if you have any questions about this, please contact Stacy or National CASA. You now have the opportunity to add a professional, add an unlimited number of professionals, and call them whatever you want to. This is achieved by adding first the professionals over in the Professionals tab, create a professional, and then you can decide what the job category is going to be. Unlike in the original CASA Manager, where you could not edit this list, you now can edit this list to be whatever category you want. The trick is that whatever you enter here is what the computer uses over here to identify or match up the person's name. So if you have selected or entered the word adoption worker, only those people whose names are linked to the word adoption worker in the Professionals tab will show up. After that, it pretty much works the same. Clicking on a blue name will take you to more detailed information about that professional. Clicking back will take you back. You can delete a professional by simply clicking on the trash can. When this professional needs to be posted to history, simply enter an end date, click outside the field, and that professional will be removed from the list, but in fact saved in history over on the Case Tasks area professional posted to history will show up here. You'll notice on the hearing section we have added attorney so that you can now record whether or not the attorney attended the hearing. To create a new hearing, same as before, select New Hearing. It will ask you if you want a hearing for the child or the family group. If you select Family Group, it prompts you to enter the date, the supervisor who will be attending. Select here to select a judge. Here to select the type of hearing. Type of hearing now is no longer editable at the bottom of the list. I have moved it over to the custom area so that you no longer have to re-enter the hearings every time there's an upgrade. Enter the time, putting at least AM, and you'll see that the hearing and judge appear in the next hearing space. After the hearing has occurred, indicate whether or not a court report was turned in, the volunteer attended, the supervisor attended, and the attorney attended. The number will appear totaled at the bottom. Case notes can now be printed as a group or as an individual note. To print a single case note, simply press the button that says Print One Note. That single note will appear, and if you click the Continue button, the single note will be printed. If you would like to print all the notes for a particular family or child, press the Print Notes button, which is what you would do now. In this case, it will bring up all the notes for a particular child. Case Stocks is a new feature in CASA Manager that has been in existence for a good year, but doesn't happen to be in your current version. In this instance, you will set up a folder on your host computer or your server into which you agree you're going to store all of your documents. When you want to store a document that's been scanned or any document, select New Document, put in the date of the document, what type of document it is, and you can see you can edit that list. Give it a title. And click on the Add Doc button. This will prompt you to search for the document. Click Open. Then place the document in the agreed upon folder where you're going to store all of your documents. Highlight the document, click Choose. The document will be pasted in here. The path to the document will be pasted here. You can write notes that summarize the document if you like to here. Later, when you want to view the document, you can click on the icon and it will open it up for you. This is a new feature. There may be some issues with it, but we'll work them through together. You'll notice there are several new conditional formatting or business rules that have been added to some of the critical fields in CASA Manager. At your request, I have added a color coding when an age itself doesn't make any sense. It's always been set up so that if the birth date is missing, these fields turn purple. But what if you put in a date and it doesn't make any sense? The child can't be born in 2095. Now at least it will be highlighted so that when you come in here and make a change or correction, the highlighting will go away. If this date is less than 0 or greater than 25, the field will be highlighted. Same thing down here. If you're missing critical information that should be filled in, the field will be highlighted. If you enter a placement but don't indicate a placement type, the field will be highlighted. In the casework section, this works in a similar way, except that When the type of case or legal status doesn't match the categories that are in your preferred pop-down list, they will be highlighted until you make the correction. Just so that you know, I have found that although this works most of the time, sometimes it doesn't. So don't ask me why. It's just one of those things which we just have to live with. But at least it's a start, and it will give you some hints. Let's go over to the volunteer section. As you can see, I have changed the layout so that hopefully it's actually better laid out and easier to read. I've changed the look of the buttons and added a CASA Connect invitation here so that it's also easier to find than being buried in the script pop-down list. The biggest change to the volunteer section is the interview tab, where we have added numerous new fields that you can use to fill in information about interviewing your volunteers. You can type in here as much information as you like, despite the size of the boxes. Entering the interview date and the name of the interviewer. Once all of this information is entered, you can click a View Form and print this form out so that you can make a permanent record of this volunteer's interview. On the Volunteer Input Personal tab, we have added space for emergency name and phone number, as well as the sex offender registry again, the date first collected, the results, and then when you select the date, it will put in automatically a date recheck for a year later. Let's go to the training section where we've made quite a few changes. Again, here in training, we've had to change the layout look. I've added a second level of tabs in order to accommodate the increased number of sessions. I have also added a screening checklist tab, which again includes the same categories as before, with the addition of the sex offender registry, the interviewer, the driver's license expiration date, and this new feature where you can add as many other types of screening documentation that you like. So you can edit this list, add in whatever you want, and then select whatever it is and what the finding is. You can do this for as many times as you want. Whatever you enter here, however, does not get included in their hours and points total, just so that you know that. On the Demographic Survey tab, you'll again see that race, the new type of race, has been added. The change to ethnic origin has been changed, and tribe, there is a space now for tribe. There was a request to have the ability to print out a person's in-service history. That has always been available in CASA Manager from the In-Service History tab. Simply enter the year that you would like to print out that person's in-service history. Whatever they've taken in that particular year will appear, and you just press the button to print out a history. Unfortunately, yes, you do have to print 3 separate reports. There's no way to combine all of the different things they've taken onto one report because this information is stored in 3 separate places. Let's take a look at some of the layouts that have been modified to meet your specifications. These can be seen in case tasks after you have assigned a child to a case. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to find a case that's active and request that I reprint documents for this particular child. Once here, I can see the documents. The court order form 1 is now your HIPAA court order. Court order form 2 is now your acceptance of case file for review. Court form number 3 is your certificate of acceptance. Other documents that were changed apply to closed cases. So let's take a look at a closed child. In searching for closed, if you want to see closed people, you must check the Show Closed Cases box down here at the bottom, and then select the people that you'd like to see. Here on Case Tasks, I can then reprint the documents. The biggest change here was the various and sundry letters. The PW letter, the original Notice of Intent to Withdraw from the Case, has been changed to a PW letter, allowing programs withdrawal as a CASA. And the CW letter, which has been renamed Order Allowing Withdrawal as a CASA. Let's go over and take a look at some of the new reports. New Referrals has been repurposed to be the active request log. As you can see, it includes categories it didn't include before, including ICWA, the type of tribe, the petition number, and a lot larger space to view the opening case comments. The new cases list. All of these reports work off of a date range. We'll tell you how many new cases and what they are in the date range that were opened in the date range. Most important feature about any of these new reports is that you now have an export email box on the top of the screen, which when you click it will create an exported Excel spreadsheet for you. Bring up your emailer program, to which you can enter Stacy's email address. I'd strongly suggest you put the name of your agency. These documents, these Excel spreadsheets have been vetted by Stacy. They meet her requirements, so all you have to do is enter the date range and press the button, and she'll have what she wants. Let's take a look at each of these new reports in turn. If you hover your mouse over the top of the button, you'll see a message that comes up that describes the button or report for you. In this case, it finds new cases opened in the date range for which there was no prior advocate. So they are first time served cases. Click on that button and up will come a report showing the child's name, their KK number, and the date opened. If you want to print the report, click Continue. If you want to send this report to Stacy, click Cancel, Preview, and then click the Export Email button. Doing so will create an Excel spreadsheet set up to meet Stacy's specifications and automatically open up your email program. The opened case list finds cases opened in a date range who may or may not have had a prior advocate. Same list, sometimes different found set. Same rules apply, exit preview, and you can export and email this list to Stacy. Finally, the closed case list. This finds on cases that were closed in the date range. Similar list, showing the KK number, petition number, date closed, the reason the agency closed the case outcome, how long the case was open, and how many placements. Again, press the Export Email button to send to Stacy. How long the case was open and how many placements. Again, press the Export Email button to send to Stacy. Hearing Summary Report. The Hearing Summary Report brings up a list of all of the hearings, all the different types of hearings you've had, the number of family cases, the number of children who attended, whether the hearing was held or not, the number of recommendations made, and the totals at the bottom. Exit preview, and you can export and email this report to Stacy. Measure Sum is a brand new report that does your Oklahoma outcomes. Here you need to select family and then decide if you're going to send a score detail or score sum. Score detail will break out the scores by date range, showing the individual tallies in each of the categories. Again, you can export an email. Make this date range a little bit bigger. The measure summary prints out the Oklahoma outcome measures for a family group. Select family and score detail. When you exit, you can either print by clicking continue, or if you want to email to Stacy, click exit and then print the export email button. You can also print out a score sums report for the same group of children by date range, either by family or broken out by date. Neither of these two reports have an export feature to them, since it is not in the format that Stacy requires. Let's look at the placement stay summary. Here you can choose placements that started in a date range, started and ended in that date range, or for all closed cases. Let's take a look at the closed case list. Here again, you can have it sorted by placement type, by family, or by child. Once again, by exiting preview, you can click on a export email in order to send Stacy a report for the placements that she requires in terms of outcomes for placement. And finally, the professional summary. Again, you can print this out by child or family. If we do family, again, you can choose option 1, 2, or 3. Whichever option you choose, you can export an email to Stacy. The Oklahoma Outcomes reports consist of the professional summary, the placement summary, the family summary, new case list, open case list, and closed case list. These 6 reports comprise the Oklahoma Outcomes: professional summary, hearing summary, measure summary, placement summary, open cases and closed cases. In each case, to make it easy for you, there has been an export email button provided so that this information can be sent to Stacy directly in the format that she's requested. Just to bring your attention to the fact that because we added so many new reports to the date range reports menu, I have had to create a new tab and move over some of the more automated reports to this section. So if you can't find a report, check the automated report tab to see if it's there. Let's take a look at a couple of the new reports for volunteers. Again, I've had to change the way the volunteer report menu looks because of the addition of the extra reports. So you'll find the date range tab has been altered significantly. To this, I've added 3 reports. Case assignment summary allows you to pick either all cases or just your active cases. Both reports use the same format, they just use a different found set. In both instances, you'll see the volunteer's name at the top and all of the cases or children that they are working with underneath. You'll also see a child count, a family count, and number of family groups that are active in that particular date range. The case assignment list is simply all cases that were assigned to a volunteer in the date range specified. The case may have been opened prior to the date that the advocate was assigned. The case resignation list is a list of volunteers showing the KK number during which the volunteer resigned their case in the date range specified. You may also find that, again, the advocate may have resigned prior to the date the case was closed. The last new report for volunteers is the active advocates who have an excess of active cases. In this particular report, when you click the Print button, you can specify how many active extra cases they have, whether it's 2 in excess or 3 in excess, whatever you would like to enter here. Just simply type it in, click OK, and it will find the advocates with extra cases. Press the Continue button to continue or exit preview. On the side, you have a tally of family groups and a number of children. In the Trainees section, there is a new Kelsey-Smith-Briggs Protection Reform Act form. So pick the training class that you want to print this form up for. Click the Print button, and you'll find a list of all of the advocates in that class with this very specific form required by your state. Finally, there was a request to have the placement categories changed. This is something you can do for yourself by going to the Agency section, Customize section, and then clicking on Case Related To. Here you can enter the placement categories that you would like to change yours to, or even the categories under Case Assigned At. What you may not have noticed is that in some instances, as in the case of placement match, where was the child living at the time the advocate was assigned, you have subcategories. When you click the subcategory box, up comes a little mini box where you can enter more detailed information. So if you select foster care, then you can also select relative, non-relative, and so forth. You can add whatever subcategory is important to your agency. And you can get a report that summarizes both the primary and the secondary type of placement. This concludes the video, which I hope you've enjoyed and will find helpful in highlighting some of the changes that were made for Oklahoma's special custom version of CASA Manager. If you have any questions or if you find any bugs, please contact Paul or Greg so they can get that question sent over to me so I can investigate the issue. I hope you benefit and enjoy all of the changes that have been made, and I'd like to offer my sincere thanks to the project committee and especially Michelle Gant, who helped troubleshoot, refine, clarify, and ensure that all of the changes you wanted made have been included. Thank you.